I explained that on Monday that what could be the possible range in the case of the 4 majors and 2 commodity pairs in this particular week. So I gave the low could be 1.300. They just showed 1.3025 area, and 1.3350 could be the high. They went up to 1.32, closer to that, and they formed 1.3175 as the high, or slightly higher than that yesterday. And they come back to that of 1.31 area, and they are expected to gain further today and tomorrow in the case of Euro. And in the case of GBP, you know that after BOE minutes, they just made a massive rise in the case of GBP to 52.70 area, and then from there they started making a slide now, and they formed 50.75 as a low yesterday during the downward stop and before making a rise. So the expected low in this week was 50.50. They have come closer to that, and they already showed 52.50 and above, and they are expected to gain further up about 100 to 200 pips. So around 54, we should be able to see it by Friday. Then in the case of yen, they just formed yesterday 99.05. So 99 area, that was the low expected in this week when it was trading around 100. And I was telling yesterday there is a great buy opportunity and they are expected to gain the levels. So that is what they have done it. It has come to 100, 100.07 and 100.19 is the high now. And they earlier on Monday, they raised it to 100.35 area. So they are expected to gain further up and hold above and inducing all the short sellers to come for short covering. Then in the case of CHF, so 94.25 was the expected low, and they just made further downward move of about 75 pips, 93.50 area yesterday, and then they recovered it to 94.30 now, and 94.36 is the high, and they are 94.73 they showed it, and they are expected to gain another 100 or 200 pips, and on next coming Monday they could straight go to 97.50 area, the estimated high of the previous week. Then Canadian dollar 1.0375 was the expected low in this particular week, and they went up to 1.0370 area, and then 1.06 was the expected high, but they have shown so far about 1.0425 area, 1.0433 now they are showing, and they are expected to breach that and go further high to 1.05 to 06 area, depending upon the triggers, what they get it, and depending upon the traders' pending positions. And in the case of Australian dollar, 90.50 was expected low that has formed, and 93.75 was the expected high. Yesterday they showed the high, 92.75 and above, and they are expected to gain from that of the dropped level. They dropped about 75 pips. I mentioned many times, whenever they make a drop for only 75 pips, they have got the great potential to reverse it entirely. And also in the case of GBP yesterday, you have noticed that they dropped to about 50 pips and formed the new low, and then from there they gained straight 100 pips. And that is how they make the quick moves in the market. So don't think that when it is a negative net change and it may not reverse. Up to 75 pips, if they drop, they can reverse it on the same day. If they drop more than 75 pips, then the recovery on the same day is unlikely. The next day they will definitely recover, but you have to buy and hold the position till the next day. Then you will be able to see definite profit in such trades. So the expected ranges almost they have fulfilled the ranges, and now coming to that of the market reading. So we will just refer to that of the initial lows and the highs and see what they are trying to do it in the market. Now the initial low in the case of Euro today was 1.3107, and they just breached and formed 1.3092 just about half an hour back, and there is about 7 plus 8, 15 pips at downward stop, and they have to come above that of 1.3107. Then we will know that they made a brief downward stop before the start of the late Japanese session, and then they will make the upward move. and the high was 1.3128, that is intact. And in the case of GBP, 1.5192 was the initial low, and they just breached it by 20 pips, and they are coming to the closer to that of 1.5192, currently 1.518185 area. So they are also expected to gain the levels. So in the case of Euro, it is less drop, 27 pips. In the case of GBP, 32 pips. So they are expected to gain the levels first in the case of Euro in order to gain levels in Euro GBP. Yesterday I was telling you that Euro GBP, they wanted to drop. Day for yesterday they gained the levels and dropped yesterday Euro GBP, and today they will briefly gain the levels in the case of Euro GBP, and you can see it in the net change. Yeah, it is almost flat, and they are expected to gain more in the case of GBP and hold Euro. As a result, you will come across further drop in the case of Euro GBP below 86. Then in the case of Yen, 99.47 was the low. This is not breached. 99.86 was the high. They breached the high and formed 100.19 as the high, and they are staying above that of 99.86 for more than 30 minutes, and they are expected to continue to gain the levels in the case of USD Yen today and tomorrow. So whenever Euro and GBP are gaining, they will be holding USD Yen. And whenever Euro and GBP are holding, they will quickly rise in the case of USD Yen and USD CHF. They are not expected to make the reverse move in the denominator currencies. Keep that in mind. So when Euro is rising, don't immediately think that you can sell USD Yen or sell USD CHF, and they may trap you. They may dip about 20-30 pips and then reverse quickly. So we should not get caught. So in all the currencies, we can only do the buy and sell trade. So in the case of USD Yen, it is a great technical trade opportunity, and they may just come below that of 100 briefly during the start of the late Japanese session. At that time, we can take a buy around 99.90, 95, and then they are expected to gain the levels and use the hedging order to limit the risk. And in case if they drop, they may drop only up to 99. So you can just book profit and keep another hedging order below. And when they rise, you can trail the hedging order as they rise the market until you are able to keep stop at entry. Then in the case of Canadian dollar, the low was 1.0401 and the high was 1.0420 initial high. They breached the initial high 1.0420 and trading still above that, and the high is 1.0433 and a small dip to 1.0425 is a buy opportunity, and they are expected to gain the level. As I told you, that the denominator currencies as well as the numerator currencies are expected to alternatively gain the levels, not the USD gaining and the USD weakening move. They will be doing all the time. So keep that in mind. And in the case of Australian dollar, 0.9180 was the low, and they just briefly made the downward stop, and 91.64 has become the new low. So about 16 pips. And then they are holding around that of the new low, but stop cutting the new low, and they are expected to gain from that of the late Japanese session. And 90-51 is intact. They are not breached it. And as I explained, that Australian dollar or the commodity pairs are expected to lead the rally to start with and lag behind. Now you find that Euro and GBP made lesser drop, whereas in the case of Australian dollar, they have made more drop. So even if it gains from here, the gaining will be much limited. So it will lag behind. So in such days, on Thursdays and Fridays, avoid taking positions in Australian dollar. Instead, take a buy position in USD CAD. We'll be able to quickly book profit. And it will be making range-bound swings, and it may come to 92, 93 slowly today and tomorrow, but it will take a longer time to reach 93 area.